Hey YouTube fam, long time no see. I apologize, it's been a bit since I've been on here, but I love connecting with you all on Instagram. You reach out to me often over there and I hope you continue to. And I know a bunch of you are also in my yoga membership website. So if you haven't heard of the Kula yet, I upload 3 classes every single week in the Kula, as well as every once in a while some meditations and some other things as well. And in April in the Kula, I'm gonna be hosting a 30-day yoga challenge. So I would love if you would join us to celebrate the year anniversary of the membership site for 30 days of yoga uploads. This is truly 30 days to deepen your yoga practice. So the majority of the uploads are going to be movement practices, yoga classes of all different lengths and styles. But then every once in a while, I'll throw in some breath work, some meditation, and some philosophy so that you can really leave the end of the 30 days feeling like you've deepened and expanded and maybe rounded out your practice a little bit. Would love for you to join us. Also to note, I have a teacher training happening in October in Montenegro in a little remote seaside village. And the registration is opening up on Monday, March 14th, and I would love if you would join us if you're interested in getting your teacher training certification. I'll put more information below on all of the above. Last thing to note before we jump into today's movement practice is that I lead yoga retreats now all over the world, and every retreat that I offer, I also have at least one scholarship spot available, and we prioritize the BIPOC community and students. So if you are interested in either attending a retreat or applying for a scholarship for a retreat, or maybe even nominating somebody else, all of the info will be below. That was a lot. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our movement practice today. It's gonna be flowy and fun and spicy and playful, and we are gonna start in a child's pose. So knees wide, big toes together, send the hips back to the heels, walk the arms out long in front of you. Ground the finger pads and the knuckle pads into the mat. And we're gonna land here with a couple cycles of breath, but know that we're not gonna stay here for a really long time. We're just using it as an opportunity to arrive. So you've shown up physically, you've made it to your mat, but can you also show up with the heart? Can you also show up with the mind? And can you also show up with the energetic body, the energetic layers of you? And one really way to begin accessing the present in a deeper way is to find a little bit of a deeper breath. So let's together take an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the mouth. One more time, big inhale, fill up. Open the mouth, exhale, move it through. Ground through the finger pads and the knuckle pads. If you'd like to hang out and linger here for a little bit longer, I encourage it. If you're ready to start moving, I'm going to ask that you might even keep the eyes closed for these first few poses. We're going to round through the back body as we roll up towards a tabletop. And then eventually past a tabletop position, drop the hips down and forward, let the shoulders roll onto the back body, heart threads through, glutes engage, as much or as little of a bend in the elbows as you need to support the low back. And then let your exhale bend the elbows and roll the heart all the way down to the floor. Tuck onto the toes, but keep the knees grounded. Press into finger pads, knuckle pads. We're gonna press all the way back into a child's pose. And then we're gonna do that 2 more times. So round through the back body as you roll up, chin in towards chest. Tuck the tailbone down and then engage into the glutes as you press the hips forward and down, shoulders onto back body, heart threads through. Inhale here. On your exhale, bend into the elbows, let the heart lower down to the mat. Just one more time, press into the hands, shift back, child's pose, heart towards thighs, hips towards heels, and then rebound as you round through the back body, chin in towards chest. Engage into the glutes as you drop hips forward and down, thread the heart through, inhale. Exhale, bend into the elbows, lower the heart all the way down to the mat. Ground into the hands. Tuck onto the toes. Press back towards a child's pose. We're going to pause here for a moment, but this time the toes are tucked under, so we're getting a little stretch in the bottoms of the feet. Let's walk the hands back towards body and walk the knees together if you'd like. All 10 fingers to interlace, go ahead and circle out the wrists. So we're rolling out in one direction and then swapping it out, roll it out in the other. And then we're gonna keep the interlace of the hands. Press the palms forward as you round through the back body. Chin pulls in towards chest, back of the heart presses into the space behind you. And then use your inhale to open the heart. Lift the tailbone, pull the pinkies towards the space behind you. Exhale, chin in towards chest, round. Press the palms towards the space in front. And then open it up. Pinkies pull to the space behind as you lift the tailbone. Lift the gaze one more time. Curl in, chin in towards chest, press through the palms. In breath, open it up. Lift the tailbone, open up through the heart. We're going to release the hands, untuck the toes. You might even kind of tap out the tops of the feet for a moment if that feels good to release that stretch. Eventually, we're going to sit the hips back on top of the heels, and we're going to plant the hands just in front of the knees. We're going to start to build some heat. Press into the tops of the toes. Knees squeeze together as you lift everything from the mat except the toenails and the hands. Drop the knees down as you do, open up the heart. So we're gonna take some really active cat-cows here. Exhale, press away, around through the back body. Chin pulls in, back of the heart presses up. Couple more, drop the knees. Shoulders onto the back body, open heart space. Exhale, press up, curl in, round. In breath, drop the knees. Open it up, heart threads through. Exhale, press up, curl all the way in. Let's go 2 more. Drop the knees. Open up the heart. On your exhale, press the floor away. Chin pulls in. Back of the heart presses towards sky. Pause and hold here. Squeeze knees towards each other. Shoulders up towards the ears, so staying really strong in the shoulders. Take 2 more cycles of breath. Maybe lifting a little bit higher for a moment, and then we'll release knees back down to the floor, hip width distance apart this time. Let's come up to standing on the shins, tuck onto the toes, hands to the low back, fingers point down. Roll shoulders onto back body as you take a really gentle heart opener, so no need to take this into any crazy back bend, just enough to get some opening happening in the heart. On your in-breath, come up through a neutral spine. Hands stay on the low back for a moment. We're going to step the right foot forward, hips press forward and down. So feeling length in the front of the left hip. On your in-breath, arms circle up and over. Right hand catches left wrist. Let's lift up and out and lean to the right, lengthening out down left side body. And then on your in-breath, come back through center. Straighten out through the right leg as you circle hands down to frame out the right foot. Point out the right toes. You may choose to grab props for underneath the hands here. We're gonna start here just on an exhale by softening the heart towards the right thigh. And then on an in-breath, halfway lift, round through back body, press into fingertips, see if you can lift the right heel from the mat. Release it back down, 2 more times, lift up, curl in, and release. 1 more time, lift up, round through back body. We're going to drop right heel down towards the mat. This time flexing out right toes. Keep the right leg as it is. Left hand stays planted. Right fingertips open up. Find a bit of a twist. Heart opens to the right. Moment to meet the shape and to breathe into the sensation that's probably happening in your outer right hip. Let's re-bend into the right knee. As we circle the right hand around, maybe you bend into the left knee and hold onto the toes, but this is truly just an option. If it causes pain or tension in the knees, let it go. Drop the left toes back down if you've lifted them. We're gonna lift the left knee and open right fingertips up towards sky. Option to stay here or to spin to the outside edges of the feet, dropping left hip down and pointing the right fingertips back. On your in-breath, come back through center. Step forward to the top of the mat, finding our first fold of practice. Clasp opposite elbows here. Find a little bit of a sway side to side, dropping the weight of the head, maybe shaking the head, yes, no. And then releasing fingertips down towards mat. Use your inhale to roll up the spine, 1 vertebrae at a time. Arms sweep up and over at the top, bring palms all the way to touch. Open up through the heart space. On your exhale, dive it all the way down. Find your fold, Uttanasana. In breath, halfway lift, lengthen. On your exhale, fold, plant hands, step back to your plank pose, wrists underneath the shoulders. Bend into the elbows, lower halfway. High plank, press back up. Lower all the way to the belly. Ground into the knees. We're gonna inhale, lift into a baby cobra, shoulders onto the back body, using just the strength of the back to lift the heart. So even hands could come to a hover. And then we're gonna release, heart to the floor, stay tucked onto the knees as you press back towards child's pose with toes tucked under. On your inhale, hands walk back towards body. We're gonna start by untucking the toes, sitting back onto the heels. That whole sequence to warm us up. Side number 2. Hands plant just in front of the knees. Press into the tops of the feet. We're gonna round through the back body as we lift up, chin in towards chest, knees squeeze together. And then as the knees drop down, open up the heart, thread it through. Exhale, round through the back body, chin pulls in, back of the heart presses high. Drop the knees, opening through the heart space. So a really exaggerated cat-cow. Exhale, curl in, chin pulls in towards chest. In breath, drop the knees, open it up. We've got 2 more. Exhale, press up, curl in. In breath, drop the knees, open heart. Last one, we're gonna press up and hold it, chin pulls in. Press up through the back body and squeeze in towards the center line with the knees and with the feet. Maybe lift a little higher, last cycle of breath. And then drop the knees to the floor, hip width distance. Come up to standing on the shins as you tuck onto the toes. Bring hands to the low back. Shoulders onto back body, open up through the heart. Glutes engage. On your next in-breath, release back bend, come up through center. Weight comes into the right knee as the left foot takes a big step forward. Start by actively inviting the hips forward and down, so we're getting length in the front of the right hip. And then on your in-breath, arms lift up overhead. Let the left hand catch the right wrist as we lift up and out and open to the left. Lengthening out down the right side body. On your inhale, come back through center. Hands frame out the left foot. Straighten out through the left leg. Point out the left toes. Hands could come to blocks if you need a little extra height. You could also stay right here without playing with lifting the leg. Or if you're ready for it, on an exhale, ground into finger pads, round through back body, lift left heel. Release it back down. 2 more times. Lift up, curl in, and release. Last one, lift up, chin in towards chest. Release left heel back down. Soften the heart over top of the left thigh, hanging out in the stretch. Just 1 more cycle of breath here. Start to pull left toes back towards you, so flexing out the left foot. And then plant into the right hand. On your in-breath, left fingertips open up, big twist open to the left. Again, you're probably feeling a lot of sensation in the outer left hip IT band. Bend into the left knee. Planting into the left foot as the left hand circles back. You can stay here, or you could bend into the right knee and hold onto the right toes with the left hand. Spin the left shoulder open to stack on top of the right. Stay planted into the right hand as you retuck right toes to the floor. Lift right knee, left fingertips up and over. Stay here or come to the outside edges of both feet, letting the right hip drop down as left fingertips point back. On your in-breath, come through center, hands to frame out the left foot, step forward, Uttanasana, find your fold. 1 vertebrae at a time, roll it all the way up. Coming through standing, arms sweep up and over at the top, bring palms to touch, open through the heart space. On your exhale, find your fold, Uttanasana, come all the way back down. In-breath, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold, plant hands, plank pose, step back. Lower halfway, pause. Knees can drop if you need as you press back up, high plank. Lower all the way to the belly. Untuck the toes, hands come wider than the mat, tent the fingertips. As you press into the fingers, in breath, lift the heart, glutes engage. Exhale, let the right shoulder drop. Right ear releases towards floor. In breath, back through center, peel the right shoulder blade onto back body. As you exhale, swap it out, left shoulder drops down. In breath, roll back through center, left shoulder onto the back. On your exhale, heart to the floor. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck onto the toes. Knees can be grounded or they can be lifted. Your choice. We're gonna slow-mo press up, high plank. Wrists under shoulders to start at the top. And then you're gonna shift as far forward as you possibly can, maybe so much so that you're just on the big toes. From there, lift the right foot from the mat. Right big toe and second toe hook onto the left heel. On your exhale, use the right foot to pull left heel towards the floor as you send the hips back. So we're finding kind of a down dog shape, but we're using the right toes to invite a little more length down the back side of the left leg. In breath, right toe sweep high. Bend the knee, open up the hip, right knee points towards ceiling. On your exhale, shift forward, right knee into the chest, step the foot through. Pivot to the left, Skandasana, hips at the top of the mat on top of the right heel. Hands can be to the floor for support or palms to touch at the heart. If hands are off the mat, you might circle out the wrists a little bit. We're gonna introduce a funky transition all the way from this shape into wild thing. So we're gonna pivot back to the top of the mat. Left hand is gonna plant. We're going towards a twist to start, right fingertips open up, but then lift the right foot and step it all the way behind you, letting the heart peel open. Right shoulder onto back body. On your in breath, high plank, come through center, wrists under shoulders. Press the floor away from you. Pause here first, find your breath, and then as you're ready for it, shift so far forward that maybe you're just on the big toes. Lift the left foot from the mat. Left big toe and second toe hook onto the right heel. And then send the hips back as you invite right heel towards floor. Pull the heart back. Drop the head. Again, inviting right heel down to get a little bit more length in the right calf and Achilles tendon. Right heel may or may not actually reach the floor. In breath, left toe sweep high. Bend the knee, open up the hip. So pointing left knee towards ceiling, maybe circling it out. And switching directions. Left knee pulls into the chest. Step the foot through between the hands. We're pivoting straight to the right. Skandasana, hips on top of left heel, right leg straight, right toes point up. If you can get hands up off the mat, interlace the fingers and circle out the wrists in one direction. And then swap it out for the other. Same thing, we're gonna take a really big transition all the way to wild thing. This will be introduced throughout our flows today. So when you're ready for it, right hand plants at the top of the mat. Slow down the transition, no need to rush it. Shift to the right toes, left foot takes a big step back. Behind you, open up the heart. Does not have to be any crazy deep expression of your wild thing. It could be that you're in more of a side plank and left toes are just kind of as a kickstand. On your inhale, come through center. Your breath, totally cool if you're not with me. Find a plank pose. On your exhale, when you're ready for it, when you're there, halfway lower hover. High plank, press back up. Lower all the way to the belly. Keep the hands planted, keep the toes tucked. High plank. On your exhale, halfway hover. High plank. One more time, all the way to the belly. Hands stay planted, toes stay tucked. Press all the way up, high plank. On your exhale, halfway hover. Pull through to your up dog, coming to the tops of the toes, thighs lift. On an exhale, we're gonna roll over into our first official down dog of practice. Sending heels towards floor, heart towards thighs. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And an open mouth exhale back out. Come up high onto the toes, take a bend into the knees. Exhale the feet to the top of the mat, fold. In breath, halfway lift, lengthen spine. Exhale, fold, let it go. In breath to rise. Come all the way through standing. Palms touch, heart opens. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana, all the way back down. In breath, a halfway lift. On your exhale, we're gonna flow through a vinyasa by planting the hands. You can step back, you can hop back. You could crow pose or invert on your way back if that's in your practice. Movement with your breath, which might mean slowing down, and it might mean that you're not moving exactly with my pace. Come up high onto the toes. Bend into the knees, exhale the feet, top of the mat, fold. In breath, rebound, half lift. Exhale, fold, let it go. Inhale, rise, come all the way up, palms touch, heart opens at the top. On your exhale, find your fold, Uttanasana, come down. In breath, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant the hands, take it back. Your Vinyasa, or straight back, downward facing dog. We've got one more round, one more sun A, just like that. Exhale, carries the feet to the top of the mat, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let it go. Inhale to rise, all the way up through standing, palms touch, heart opens. Exhale, come right back down, find your fold. Your breath, inhale lifts you halfway. Exhale, fold. Heart over thighs as you plant the hands, step or hop or float or play. Moving your way through a Vinyasa or straight back to your downward dog. Shorten the stance of your down dog by really just a baby step, maybe feet walk a teeny tiny bit wider. We're gonna plant into the left hand. On your exhale, right hand reaches back for the left ankle. And then shift forward, extend the right hand long. 2 more times, shift back. Right hand taps left ankle. Shift forward, extend through the right hand. 1 more time, shift back, right hand, left ankle. Shift forward and pause there. Right hand reaches. We're gonna shift to the outside edge of the left foot, the inside edge of the right foot as we peel the heart open towards sky. Start to lift the right toes from the mat and drop them behind you, maybe opening up towards a wild thing, or maybe it's kind of just a supported side plank. We're gonna take a big step all the way to Skandasana at the top of the mat. So shift back to the left toes as we step the right foot to the left hand. We're pivoting to the left, hips on top of right heel. Palms come to touch at the heart, maybe hands interlace. If you need the hands on the floor as a kickstand or as support, that's also totally fine. On your in-breath, warrior 2 to the back of the mat. So left foot plants, fingertips extend in both directions. In breath, Skandasana, hips on top of right heel. Come all the way up, Virabhadrasana 2. 1 more time, hips on top of right heel. This time we're gonna keep the hips as low as we can as we shift through center. Skandasana to the other side of the mat, so hips on top of left heel. We're gonna pivot 1 more time all the way to wild thing. Right hand plants, shift to the right toes. Left foot takes a big step behind you, open up the heart. Left fingertips extend long. Maybe this time, if you want it, you could play with bending into the right knee and working left knee towards tapping the mat. May or may not reach. If that causes tension in the knee, let it go. And then as you re-straighten right leg, last time, left foot takes a big step to the now top of your mat, although it's the back compared to where we started. We're gonna shift straight into a reverse half moon. Come onto the left foot, right toes lift. Right hand can be to floor or prop or hover. Use the strength of the core to twist, wrapping lungs around the heart, left shoulder on top of right. On your in-breath, open it up, half moon, left hand to the floor, right fingertips open up. Right hip and right shoulder to stack on top of the left. Bend into the left knee. We're gonna come all the way to a reverse warrior. Right hand, right thigh, left arm comes up and over. On your exhale, cartwheel it out. Frame out the left foot and step back plank pose. Either a Vinyasa or send the hips straight back, meeting in a downward dog. All right, we get to do that whole spicy, funky, playful sequence again. Start by maybe shortening the stance, just a baby step, maybe feet walk a little wider. Plant into the right hand. Left hand reaches to tap the right ankle. And then shift forward, left fingertips extend long. Hips pull back, left hand, right ankle. Shift forward and extend. Last one, left hand, right ankle, pull the hips back, pull the heart back. Shift forward and pause. We're gonna shift to the outside edge of right foot, inside edge of left foot as we spin left shoulder open to stack on top of right. Start to play with hovering the left foot and stepping left toes behind you. Maybe it's just a little bit of a kickstand, or maybe you kind of peel it open, heart open towards sky, towards wild thing. Big step all the way towards Skandasana. Take your time in the transition. Let the in-between moments be some of the most important ones. So left foot steps to the right hand. Pivot to the left, hips on top. Pivot to the right, hips on top of left heel. So right leg straight, right toes point up, hands to the floor, palms touch at heart, fingers to interlace, your option. Again, a couple times we're gonna move between this shape and our warrior two. So as you're ready for it, let an inhale pull you up, right foot plants, fingertips extend both directions, and then straighten out, hips back on top of the left heel. 2 more times, come up, bend into the right knee, fingers extend, down to the left heel. 1 more time, in breath, come all the way up, Virabhadrasana 2. This time, hips on top of left heel. We're gonna keep the hips as low as we can as we roll through to the other side. So hips on top of right heel. We're making our way back to the top of the mat. We are gonna pivot to the top of the mat, all the way into our wild thing. Left hand plants, shift to the left toes. Right foot steps all the way behind you. As you roll the right shoulder onto the back body and extend right fingertips towards the top of the mat. Hips press high, glutes engage. Again, our next shape, it's a crazy transition. We are coming all the way to the top of our mat to a reverse half moon. So right foot steps forward. We're keeping the left hand planted. We're gonna kick off of the left toes and extend right fingertips open towards ceiling. You can always use a block underneath left hand. Could always hover the fingertips or bring left hand to the right shin. For a moment, focus on the twist, spinning right shoulder open, and then maybe lifting left foot a little higher. Empty the lungs completely. Let your next in-breath unravel you into a half moon. Open left hip, open left shoulder, and extend the left hand high. All the way from here into our reverse warrior. We're bending into the right knee, left foot parallel to the back edge of the mat as we lift up and out. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up and over. On your exhale, cartwheel it out. Framing out the right foot, plank pose, step back, your vinyasa. Or send the hips straight back, meeting eventually in our downward dog. Go ahead and take a really deep and intentional in-breath here. And then an open mouth exhale, move it through. Drop your knees down to the mat. On your in-breath, come up through standing on the shins, hands to the low back. Open up the heart, little back bend here. Shoulder blades pull together on the back body. In breath, come back up through tall with the spine. We're gonna shift our weight into left knee, right foot takes a big step forward. Hips press forward and down, inhale. Arms up and over, right hand reaches for left wrist as we lean to the right. On your in-breath, come back through center. Hands frame out the right foot. We're gonna straighten through right leg. Right toes pull back. We're gonna get a little bit playful here. You can always grab blocks or props underneath the hands if you need them. We're gonna play with pointing out right toes, lifting right foot, and then rolling over the left toes back into a pistol squat. This is all just optional. I'm bringing you guys right into the spice before we cool things down. You could ground into the left foot and inhale, come all the way to standing, palms to touch at heart, right leg to extend long. And then on your exhale, slow-mo, bend into the left knee, bring hips on top of the left heel, back of the mat. We're gonna drop the right heel back down, with or without the help of the hands. We're coming straight forward into a pyramid pose, lift the hips. So I like to stay on the ball of my left foot in pyramid, but you are more than welcome to turn the left toes flat if you would like. You can also ground into the right heel and lift right toes up off the mat. Pull the right hip back, left hip forward. Inhales to lengthen spine, and then exhales to deepen stretch. Take just one more breath here. And as you're ready for it, we're gonna drop the toes, shift the weight into the right foot. Left toes sweep high, standing split. You've got options here. You can stay right in this shape. You can test your balance by hovering hands, palms touch at heart, or you could plant the hands shoulder width distance, ground into finger pads, press up and out of the shoulders, and maybe play with hopping right foot up off the mat. Even if the goal is not handstand, but you're just working towards getting the right foot to lift from the floor. So all just options. Eventually, we're gonna meet back in our standing split, and don't let me rush you if you're playing. One of my main rules in life is that we do not interrupt playtime. Plant the left foot next to the right foot, forward fold at the top of the mat. Drop the weight of the head. Chin pulls in towards chest. In breath, roll up the spine one vertebrae at a time. As you come up, we're gonna sweep the arms up and over, shift to the toes, let the heels lift. And then with the heels lifted, palms touch at heart as we dive the heart forward. So a little bit of a different kind of test of our balance here. Take a big inhale. On your exhale, as you drop the heels to the floor, we're gonna bend into the knees, sending the hips down. We're gonna play with planting the hands and either hopping straight into a chaturanga or playing with crow pose along the way. So if you've got crow pose in your practice, feel free to go there. If you're going straight to your chaturanga, it's gonna look like planting the hands shoulder width distance. By the time the toes hit the back of the mat, the elbows are bent. So toes back, elbows bent. Once you're there, press up high plank. And then exhale, lower halfway. Pull it through to your upward facing. And if you've added crow pose, you're likely on totally different timing. That's just fine. Hips up and back, downward dog. That sequence on the other side. And then we're slowing things down. Drop the knees to the mat. Come to standing on the shins, hands to the low back. Roll the shoulders onto back body as we peel, heart open, sinking into the shape. On your in-breath, come back up through center. We're shifting weight into the right knee. Left knee takes a big step forward. Hips press forward and down. So finding length in the front of the right hip. In-breath, arms reach up and over. Left hand catches the right wrist as we lean open to the left, lengthening out down the right side body. And then with your in-breath, release through center. Straighten out the left leg as hands frame out the left foot. All right, here's where we get super funky, and it's all optional. I will continue to remind you of that. If you'd like blocks underneath the hands for support, you can. We're gonna point out the left toes. You might start by playing with lifting left foot. And then we're tucked onto the right foot. We're gonna play with sending the hips to the right heel, lifting the right knee and dropping right heel towards the floor. You're welcome to stay here. Another trick that can be helpful is to use the left hand to hold onto the left big toe. It looks cool, but it's actually a little bit easier. And then planting into the right foot, you have the option of coming all the way up through standing. And maybe holding onto the foot, maybe palms to touch at the heart. Take an inhale at the top. And then exhale, bend into the right knee. Send the hips all the way back down to the right heel at the back of the mat. All right, my leg is shaking. Plant the left heel. With or without the help of the hands, we're shifting forward, pyramid pose. So again, I like to stay on the ball of my right foot for this shape. If you would rather drop the right toes down, you can. We're just enjoying the stretch here. Let the heart soften over top of the left thigh. Maybe you ground into the left heel and peel the left toes from the mat. Sending left hip back, right hip forward. Inhales to lengthen spine. Exhales to deepen, stretch. Last cycle here. And then we're gonna play with dropping left toes, shifting forward, standing split. Right foot sweeps high. Whatever you did on the first side, try to do the same here unless there's an injury or something preventing it. But we like to try to keep things somewhat equal on both sides, even if you have a favorite side, such as in handstand. So you might plant the hands, straighten out the arms, press up and out of the shoulders. Maybe it's just a little hop off of the left foot. Maybe you catch the balance, maybe you don't. But letting this be a time that you connect movement with keeping a focus on the breath. So the movement might not happen exactly with the breath, but we haven't lost an awareness of it. And whenever you're ready to get there, don't let me rush you. Forward fold to the top of the mat. Feet plant, drop the weight of the head. Let's go ahead and together here, take an inhale, halfway lift, fill up through the nose. Open the mouth, exhale, move it through. Roll up the spine one vertebrae at a time. Just like we did last time as we come up, we're gonna sweep the arms up and over, shift to the toes, let the heels lift. So firing up the muscles of the calves, and then palms come to touch with the heart. We're gonna stay on the toes as we start to dive the heart forward. I think this shape is called drinking bird. Landing with the heart, over the thighs, take an inhale here. As you drop the heels down, lower the hips to the floor. So again, option to find that hop straight to chaturanga, or if you wanted to play with crow pose, hands could plant shoulder width distance. Maybe the heels lift into the glutes, press up through the back body. And then however you get there, we're making our way through a flow. So toes to the back of the mat. Maybe you find that same press up, high plank, and then lower half. Pull through to your up dog. And then exhale, roll it up and back, downward facing. Heart pulls back towards thighs. Heels kick down towards floor. Take one cycle of breath here. And then let's go ahead and soften the knees down to the mat. Untuck the toes, sit back. Let's interlace all 10 fingers, circle out the wrists. We've got one more round of our low lasana press drills, which is really good for core strength, really good for handstand strength. Switch direction of your circles. We're gonna give the wrists a little bit of a break first. Let's once more here, press palms forward, round through the back body, chin in towards chest. And then open the heart, lift the tailbone, peel fingertips behind you. Maybe even noticing how this shape feels now versus whenever practice started. Drop the hands to the mat just in front of the knees. Press into the tops of the feet. Exhale, lift up, round in. In breath, drop the knees, open the heart. Exhale, press up, curl in. In breath, drop the knees, open up. Couple more. Exhale, round in, press. Drop the knees, thread the heart through. Let's go 3 more. Exhale, curl in. In breath, drop the knees, open up. Last 2. Exhale, press up, curl in. In breath, drop the knees, open heart. Last one. Exhale, press up, curl in, pause, hold. Knees squeeze towards each other. You're actively pressing into all 10 finger pads and knuckle pads. Maybe you lift right toes from the mat. Right foot drops, maybe left toes lift. Left toes drop, lift a little higher. Exhale, drop the knees to the floor. Come up to standing on the shins, tuck onto the toes. Our last camel pose for practice. Hands to the low back, fingers point down. Roll shoulders onto back body as you engage into the glutes and let the heart peel open. You can stay here, or you could drop one hand to one heel and then the other if that feels supported in your body. And then hands back to the low back first. Slowly back up through center. Drop the hips to the heels. With or without the help of the hands, we're gonna lift the knees, drop heels, hips to the floor, and extend the legs out long. We're gonna come down into Shavasana pretty quickly, but before we do, one big stretch. Inhale, arms lift up and over. On your exhale, dive the heart over the thighs, hands to the feet or to the floor, and drop the weight of the head. So chin pulls in towards chest. Toes pull back towards you. One more exhale to maybe sink a little deeper into the shape. And then an inhale to come back up through center. Fingertips extend forward as you roll your way down to the back body, one vertebrae at a time. Interlace fingers except for the thumbs, press the palms up above you, like you're trying to press the palms flat up against a wall and your feet flat up against a wall. And then pull the right knee into the chest. Hand circle around to help the right thigh towards right rib cage. And drop the right arm out, cactus or T, and then use your exhale to find a twist. Getting right knee over the left side of the body. If you want more here, you could play with straightening out through the right leg. In breath to come back through center, and then we'll swap it out. Left knee pulls in, right leg extends. Again, left thigh squeezes towards left rib cage as the back of the right thigh presses down towards the mat. Left arm out to a cactus or to a T, and then use your exhale to find your twist. Left knee over the right side of the body. In breath to come back through center. Pull both knees in one last time. Lift the shoulders up off the mat. Clasp opposite elbows around the knees. Tight squeeze in here. Take one more big inhale. And then exhale your way into Shavasana. Legs extend to the top of the mat. Arms drop out by the sides. Palms face up. And landing here with a deep end and intentional in-breath and out-breath. I'm checking in at this point in the practice with how the body is feeling, but also with what's going on in the heart space and what's going on in the mind space. And to know that the more we practice getting to know ourselves and our bodies and our emotional cues and what we need and how we need it, the more we do that exploration and that work on our mats, the more that it becomes easy and intuitive out in the world. And then somehow, moment by moment, our entire lives are a little bit richer for it. So with these last moments of silence, let the practice continue. Don't check out. Encourage yourself to be nowhere but right here. Invite in a little bit of a deeper in-breath. And exhale back out. And wiggle the fingers and the toes and the wrists and the ankles. And kicking through the heels, let's extend arms up overhead, reaching through the fingertips. We're going to make our way back towards a comfortable seat, but I ask that you take lots of time to get there. Maybe you pull knees in towards chest along the way. Maybe you roll onto a side. And then finding your way all the way back up into a seat, eyes closed at the top. And take a moment here to set the tone for whatever it is that comes next in your day, in your evening, in your week, in your weekend. Use this last moment on your mat to create a through line so that your practice comes with you out into the world. And palms come to touch at the heart, or they can rest where they're at. And I thank you so much for moving and playing and breathing together. And I will move with you again soon. Namaste.